So we've been talking about Ukraine, the culture of Ukraine, and doing some artwork based on their culture. And what I'm going to look at today with my students is some of the embroidery they do on their traditional folk clothing. And they have a lot of hand embroidery. These tend to be bands around the cuffs and the collars of some of their clothing. And what we're going to do today is kind of compare this to some of the art now that you see with pixels. Like this kind of stitching reminds me of what we see when we have old computer graphics in the pixels, and kind of using a grid and graph paper, especially this, you can see those blocks. So it's kind of an interesting, this old technique of cross stitching and hand embroidery and kind of contemporary computer graphics. So these are just some images that I pulled up online, and the kids will have these to look at. And then what we're going to have is some graph paper. So I don't know if you can see, there is a grid on this. And I picked a long, thin piece of paper to kind of imitate this band of embroidery that they tend to do. See how there's like long bands? So the students don't have to do anything particular. We have these references. And what we can do is use like a straight edge, and I think we'll start with a pencil first and kind of mark what we're going to color in. And it ties in nicely with the fact that we do a lot of symmetry too. So there's a lot of symmetry in these images. If I have my band, I did the second one in, so I'm going to try and keep that in mind and kind of just note what I'm going to color in. And then think about some of the patterns and designs. If there's almost like a little bitty flower pattern, and thinking about maybe making some lines for where we can make a pattern. I can count off how many there are here so I can plan this out. So there's 10 and a line. And then I can look at some of these patterns and think about, do I want to have a diamond shape? And when I pick something like a diamond, I can go out and then I could go to the next one. I think I might need to go one line further. And I can kind of create these patterns and then repeat them because we can count them. So each one of these will get colored in, and then I can do maybe that little flower design and pick some shapes that I want to do in here. And you may have to edit as you go in order to get the same pattern. So let's see, maybe I'll do the flower pattern here. And I'm going to color in a little bit so the students can see what I'm talking about. Find a good marker that will work. And a lot of these early ones are just one color, so we can start with one color. And anything that I have my pencil mark, I'm just going to color in. And of course, it needs to be neat or this isn't going to work very well. So I'm going to color in my boxes. I think I need a better marker. Gotta pick a dark one so it'll cover up. Oh, black wasn't what I was aiming for, but at least you'll be able to see this really well. So any of the boxes my pencil line is inside of, I'm going to color in. So when I get something like this, like my little flower design that I'm seeing here, and then when I do the diagonals, it's going to be, I'm not going to draw straight anymore because I'm staying in the boxes. I can fill these in straight because the boxes are lined up edge to edge, the little graph squares. But when I start to do diagonals, you're going to see that kind of choppy, what we think of as pixelated imagery. We're really going to need fine tip markers, I think, for this to work nicely. So we can see the little squares. So I could put like little corners in, change it around a little bit. This one, where my lines are, is going to go more like this. And what I'm going to try and do is kind of create a pattern Careful. Now the other thing that we can do is try and make kind of like pictures, and this is very much based on symmetry. There's like a nice little person. Looks like a male and female kind of symbol there. So let's say, my goodness, my markers are drying out faster than I'd like them to. Now I'm going to have to balance this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have my basic block here. And it's very symmetrical. And this one's very simple. So I have my basic rectangle that I've colored in the box. I've got my pixels, my little flower shape, my V. It's slightly not balanced, I can see that. So maybe I make another box and I'll pick something like this person to do. So I've got these nice little people imagery. So I can look at that shape and I can think about how many boxes I'd need to make that. You can really see those easily there, and maybe how wide it is across. And I'm going to try and sketch that. So this looks like the widest point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then I can go let's see if this looks like it would work. So maybe I just need to go down like that. And I have kind of the hourglass. Something looks kind of strange here. Like it's crisscrossing it, not quite in the middle. We'll see. And then I'm going to have my head shape. I think maybe it'll be going here. And the arms. And it's not as big. There's stripes in there, but I might be able to get a couple stripes. I could do this and this, and then maybe make this a little longer. So you can see how I'm kind of sketching. It'd be nice if I could find a better marker this time. So when I have a straight line down, I can just make that bar because they're touching corner to corner. But when I start going diagonal, I'm going to follow the line and color it in like that. Again, neatness will really help. I can see I went out one for this, but that's okay. I'm learning as I go. If you think drawing this in takes a long time, imagine if you were doing the embroidering. So this is our idea, just kind of playing around with this, trying to create some simple shapes. I can erase my pencil lines. eraser's seen better days. And we can kind of create some patterns based on these ideas of these embroidery patterns and kind of bring in a little contemporary pixelated feel to it because they seem to really relate to me. So that's where we're going to go today with our project. This is going to be for 3rd grade in our study of Ukraine.